Right. So, as I was saying, I've made in this particular instance, this particular solution, we were developing a software that allows for um, services, companies in the service industry, businesses in the service industry, to be able to provide services to clients online. Now, they would need to get certain information from their clients to be able to provide the services that they provide. They need to get that information from the clients. But there'd be different information required for each industry or each sector that they worked in. Like, for example, real estate would need certain kinds of information, which is different from what a private investigator would need to get, or different from the type of information needed for a financial firm, as a result, probably a loan processing firm. You know, so they all need different information, and so we need to find a way that we could create forms that allowed them to be able to customize those forms based on their business, based on their data requirements that they need. So our solution, or my solution that I came up with, was to use master reference tables that would essentially store the company, an ID for the company, and then at the same time the field that they want displayed and the data type that relates to it. So all of that would be stored in one table for each entity, right? And then that would be linked to a values table that would store the actual values that were entered by their clients for those fields, right? That was stored in the master reference table. So that was basically the idea, and it worked. It was pretty efficient, as it was able to allow all these different services or service providers to customize their forms as needed. And we were able to create maintenance screens that allowed them to be able to enter or generate or create kinds of forms that they wanted, and with the data that they wanted. And then the users were able to provide the information that they needed for them to process their service. So that's just one of the many that I have done in my time. There are a number of other design decisions that I've had to come up with. One of the things we needed to look at was a way to select an indexing software to an indexing software to allow for um, quick searching of items in our database. We use Elasticsearch for that in terms of an indexing solution. Um, because it was pretty efficient and pretty easy to use, so we decided to use Elasticsearch for that one. There was another solution where we it was a telecommunications company, and they needed to know um, how they're going to this. They wanted to display a map like of Jamaica and see where their services were most concentrated, the areas where their services were most concentrated. So we had to get their data in JSON format, and we would load that into a tool called Leaflet, which we selected to display the map, and would read the data and display that graphically on the page, on the web page for them. So that's another such solution I've worked on. Another one is, of course, configuration management, which is so important to any software that you're creating these days. Everyone wants content management. So we were creating a software in Angular, and we needed to be able to um, allow for configuration of the data most efficiently, in a most efficient manner. And you know what we had to do was to create screens that allowed them to be able to enter that information, but it would be stored in a document database. that basically use JSON to be able to store that, right? And then that content information now, that the information from that database was then pulled to configure the application. So those are some of the things that you know we've come up with. I've come up with. There's another solution where we needed to cache information regularly for a web application. We needed something a little more powerful than regular cache, and we use Redis for that. So that's another solution as well that we design decision that I've made as well. And Redis was very useful in terms of the fact that it allows you to be able to store in memory and not necessarily persist. And we didn't use the persistence feature for that because we didn't need it to. We needed it to be stored temporarily, but it was large amounts of data, and so we stored using Redis, and that worked pretty well for us as well. So those are just some of the solutions that I've been a part of as well too, in addition to the one mentioned here.